There we go. Welcome, everyone. Week 4 webinar. We are talking about self-esteem and self-confidence. Now, as with all the webinars, I try to do both lifestyle webinars and business-based webinars. So last week we talked about marketing. So this week we're talking a little bit more about sort of a well-being side of things. But saying that, we all need self-confidence and self-esteem to run our business properly, for us to kind of get that wonderful improved feeling of self-worth. And it is scientifically proven, actually, when our self-esteem is higher, not only do we feel better about ourselves, but actually we are more resilient, especially in the workplace. So today I'm going to talk about ways that we can raise our self-esteem and raise our self-confidence. I have an 11-step action plan, and then I have tasks for you as well, as always. So I certainly hope that you can do the tasks to hand as well. But let's take just a brief overview of the 11-step plan, because it's quite interesting. The sort of 11 steps which we're going to dive into don't fix things. I know that sounds crazy. We don't want to be putting a band-aid on anything. We don't want to fix it. We want it to naturally dissolve. And hopefully you can resonate with that, because you have to also look at the causes of why your self-esteem is low. Then you can do the action plan to see how that actually feels. Now, taking a look at this, if you flip it over to what could be signs and causes of low self-esteem, this list will probably make a little bit more sense. But you know, it can be a root cause of so many things. Honestly, so many things. It could be an unhappy childhood. It could be where a significant person in your life, like a teacher, you know, they were extremely critical. You know, I think we all have those moments in time. I have one, and I'm going to share it with you a little bit, because it was a real thing for me for a long time. I must have been in about grade 4. How old would I have been in grade 4? Maybe 10 or 11. Oh, 10 or 11. And there was a spelling test. And the teacher said, if everyone gets the spelling test right, I'll take you all to McDonald's. No, honestly, it was McDonald's. It really was, because it was such a big thing then, right? And I didn't understand about healthy eating then anyway. And so McDonald's was really fun. But she goes, everybody has to get it. So we took the test, and guess who got 1 wrong out of the whole class? You guessed it. It was me. It was me. I spelt the word check incorrectly. The American, bear in mind, my parents are British, living in Canada. So when they would help me spell, it was British spelling. So in Canada, they use American spelling, even though they are part of the Commonwealth. Yes, that's right. Get that one. See if you can understand that. Anyway, I'm making excuses. So anyway, it was a big deal for me for a long time, and it really lowered my self-esteem and my self-confidence. And things were done then. You know, it was just the way things were dealt with. And it was tough for a while, because like everyone looked at me as like, oh, you're the reason we're not getting McDonald's. Oh my God, it was horrific. Humiliating comes to mind. So I often think of that, because actually, you know, 40 years later, I'm not that old, 40 years later, I can still remember that moment. And so using these practices have really helped, because you know, I just don't have any emotional attachment to it, and that's how I want you to get. No emotional attachment to those ongoing stresses in your life or events in your life that has brought low self-esteem. Now, they can be anything from you speaking negatively to yourself and being critical about yourself as well. Or they can be focusing on your negative emotions and ignoring your achievements also. They can also be thinking that other people are better than you. Not accepting compliments, which is a really interesting one. If you take a look at my step number 9, it's learn to accept compliments, because this is something we can chat about. And feeling sad, depressed, anxious, ashamed, or angry about anything in your life can actually lower your self-esteem and self-confidence as well. So we have these wonderful 11 steps to higher self-esteem, and they might not be easy, but it's not complicated. But it is something that you have to work at. And we have number 1, which is practicing yoga and meditation. We have 2, sticking to an exercise regime, which is scientifically proven, as I will deep dive in as well. We have eliminating that self-criticism and introducing self-compassion. We have setting goals. I love that. I think I talk about setting goals in every single presentation, but it's so true. That roadmap is just imperative. Getting motivated, pampering yourself, using positive affirmations correctly, which we will chat about, identifying your competencies and developing those as well. Learn to accept compliments. Do not compare yourself with others, and affirm this sort of real self-worth in yourself. So let's get into the first one, which is practicing yoga and meditation. Now, what's interesting is there's a lot of research that says meditating regularly becomes easier to get into the zone as well by turning off our brain and stopping that negative self-talk. And so the studies have found that meditation increases that social self-confidence, sociability, general psychological health, and social maturity, which I thought was really quite interesting. So a lot of the times it can be the yoga. The yoga can actually get you into that meditative state as well. Or you can just do meditation on its own. Now for me, I booked onto a yin yoga and meditation class on Friday evening, starting from 7 until 8. And I actually find that really good because it's the end of the week. It kind of draws a line in the sand and really makes a big difference to my well-being as well. And it's a great start to the weekend. You just feel relaxed, which is nice. Number 2 is sticking to an exercise regime. So, sometimes self-esteem issues can actually be around body perception. So regular exercise can actually help build the confidence because you're improving your body image. And it can be strengthening the body, it can be losing weight, it can be toning the body, and seeing results can actually greatly improve your self-esteem and help you feel better because you feel you look better. There was some really interesting research that I found on outdoor activity related to self-esteem. And it says there was a study in 2014 that I found with 1,000 participants across a number of different ethnic backgrounds, and how it had a positive impact on self-esteem. So it said researchers from the University of Essex discovered that it only took a mere 5 minutes of activity, and this is outdoor activity, okay, such as walking, gardening, or cycling, to increase self-esteem and improve your mood. Oh my God, 5 minutes a day outside. Everyone can do that. If you don't have time to do that to improve your self-esteem, then you really do need some professional help. Honestly, I really do believe that. And it is about creating a program, which we're going to talk about the action plan with this afterwards. You know, put in your diary 5 minutes a day to do something, whether it's walk around the block, whether it's go into your garden, just get out in the fresh air. And I think this is why lockdown has just been so bad for so many people that didn't actually get out. And in fact, it's interesting because New Zealand are actually going into lockdown midnight tonight to Sunday because they've had a few outbreaks. And so, you know, the advice that we gave our kids living out in New Zealand was, you know, just make sure that you walk around the block and get outside every day. Okay, the next one we have here is eliminate the self-criticism and introduce sort of the self-compassion. And this is fascinating because, you know, it's like a catch-22. Unfortunately, when our self-esteem is low, we're actually likely to damage it even further by being self-critical. So you need to recognize that. And since the goal is to enhance our self-esteem, we need to kind of substitute that self-criticism with self-compassion. Okay, so this is really quite important. So you got to stop that inner critic monologue from happening, because once that kicks in, you need to have a strategy to snap it back out. And sometimes this is where you really need the accountability of a friend, a family member, a loved one, or even yourself, and journaling, which is why I have the journal here, because sometimes you can just journal your way out of this as well. So, you know, you need to stop doing those damaging, critical thoughts and build it back up the other way. You know, it's just like a spiral. If you catch the spiral on the way down, it can actually reverse and go back up. And that's what you need to do. All of this is just like this toolbox we keep creating for everybody, not only you, but the clients you work with, and to take this into businesses as well. So it really is imperative. The next one is setting goals. And, you know, I set goals all the time. As you know, not only do I have my personal goals, I've got my vision boards. I set goals for most things, which is great. You know, it's like, God, imagine yourself just aimlessly every day wandering around without a reason. You know, I mean, I can't even imagine it. Yeah. And so if you don't have those aspirations, can you understand how this self-criticism can actually just enter in at any time? So you need to be really careful. You know, how do you feel? Check in with yourself, check in with your goals, and goals set in the kind of psychology side of things as well. It's an essential tool for this self-motivation, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But this self-drivenness that you need to get from that, both from a personal and a professional level as well, because that's what gives meaning to our actions when you have a goal, and then that purpose is linked together with that meaning, and actually just raises your positivity as you go. So by setting goals, you get this roadmap, as I said before, this roadmap of where you're heading to, and that where every action is leading us, and whether it's in the right way. And this plan kind of brings perspective, and it's that perspective that can give us that self-esteem as well. It's really, really interesting. I was reading a little bit of research, 2015, by a Rick McDaniel, and this said setting goals are linked with higher motivation, self-esteem, self-confidence, and autonomy. And this research was established a long connection between goal setting and success. And that was Locke and Latham, 2016, and Rick McDaniel Matthews 2015. There's a lot of research on this. Now, I always quote research because remember, one of the things that I do is you have to, in wellness, do what the science says works. I think that's the easiest way to put it. Do what the science says works. But I'm going to give you an example, right? Because this is really part of those in the wellness ambassador group that are either finding guest speakers or pitching against other guest speakers. This needs to be part of the pitch. And I was helping someone yesterday do a pitch for a big company who's a wellness ambassador. And it is really about, you are up against healthy chocolate making. And I often use that as an example because I was actually up against a healthy chocolate maker once. Yes, I was. And it was either between her or me. And I wasn't going to let it go, obviously. But I just said, well, if you can show me, I said in the pitch, and I knew I was up against them. I said, I cannot find any scientific research that healthy chocolate making can improve your well-being, improve your self-esteem, improve your chances of recovering from the diseases of civilization, blah, blah, blah. I said, so, if you can find that research, I would understand why you would choose another guest speaker. I said, but I'm going to give you all the research why you should be choosing me. Guess what? I got the gig. So this is the way I want everyone speaking. Use the research all the time. Okay, which is great. So back to goal setting. Goal setting. There's some great research around goal setting and building your self-esteem. Get motivated. Yoo-hoo-hoo. So I use this word kind of self-drivenness. I don't even know if that's a word. Maybe it's like Canadian English, self-drivenness. I must look that up. But anyway, you know what I mean by this self-drivenness. I'm going to use it because I quite like it. It's a little bit quirky. Because you need to get motivated and you need to get that self-drivenness. And motivation is what drives us to do things. And it's the element that keeps us moving forward towards the goals, towards the excellent, towards being happy, towards being wealthy, towards being successful. Do you see what I mean? It's just this momentum. But you have to start the momentum. And we've talked about motivation before because motivation isn't first. It's the action that starts the motivation. So the motivation is the essential kind of get up and go, really. And that's it. So I kind of have some tips here on doing it. And that's setting small, measurable goals. I think that's really good to not get you into overwhelm. And, we have talked about overwhelm a lot, especially in last sessions around dynamism, and setting the small measurable goals really helps with that. And then you need to develop this positive mantra like, yes, you can, or yes, I can. Can you do this? Yes, I can. Of course I can. And it's about like sometimes when I go onto Canva or, I had to make QR codes this weekend. I had no idea how to make QR codes. I had to buy 100 QR codes. I had to make 55 of them. I had to upload them. I had to, you name it, I had to do it with QR codes. And I'd never done it before, but to take myself out of overwhelm, I said, Barbara, you can do this. You can do this. Even when it was difficult, you can do this. And that is my mantra. You can do this. I can do anything. You also need to commit publicly. And I think this is a really interesting one to stay motivated. And I love little challenges. Just give yourself a little challenge. Or if you want someone to stay, be accountable to, then ask me. I'll bloody well keep you accountable. Absolutely, 100%. I won't let you waver one bit. So, if you want to be accountable to something, whether it be targets, whether it be doing something, then, commit publicly because it actually keeps you motivated to continue and do it. But within that, you also need to create your own regime and your own rituals, which is why I love my diary. I love all of my My daughter, I think, is taking these back to university. She loves them. She's eyed them up. And she's like, oh, mommy, I really like those. It's like, yep, if it keeps you organized and keeps you on the track, I'm happy for you to have them. So you also need to become a good mental debater. What do I mean by that? You need to start to learn to speak to yourself in a really nice way and start to debate, because it's really funny. I've got 3 big webinars today, and I have a webinar after this webinar from 8 until 9, and I have 3,800 people booked on that. And so I charge myself up. I have this mental debate. Yep, you can do this. You know, you're not going to get discouraged. You know, all this kind of stuff. And because those negative things can pop in all the time. So I want you to be a really good mental debater with yourself and to do all that positive self-talk as much as possible. Then I also want you to visualize your goals. And I love those goals, visualizing them in those vision boards, because that can help with that mental debate. If you're looking up at the goal, you say, yep, I can do that. Positive, yep. Attitude, good. Outlook is great. Fantastic. Strength, character, encouragement, vision, expertise, endurance. You know, I'm just like looking at all these amazing words up on my real positive boards in front of me here. That's what you need. If you can't have them up in your room, then keep them in your diary. Keep them in a 1-pager, somewhere where you can pull them out. But you need to see your goals and you need to stay positive all the time. The final one is face your fears. You know, it's tough, yeah? I remember years ago, one of the first books I read on facing my fears was by Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And you know what? I bought that book when I was traveling around Asia. And 30 years ago, 35 years ago. Yeah, it's got to be 30 years ago, for sure. And I remember I was in Singapore, and I bought it at the airport, and it was my book, reading it, you know, traveling around Asia while I was on trains and stuff. And amazing, amazing. And I can still quote from it today. Such a classic book on facing your fears. Okay, let's take a look at the next one here. Is pampering yourself. Of course I'm going to put this in. Self-care is so important, isn't it? I have some really amazing self-care items here, because pampering yourself is essential. I mean, super duper essential for building self-esteem and self-confidence. And improving self-esteem requires for you to take care of yourself. And self-pampering is just the way to do that. And as I have mentioned, you know, any kind of focus that you can have on self-care is not selfish in any way whatsoever. Yeah, you have to take proper care of yourself and treat yourself as kindly as you treat others. And pampering yourself is, you know, means that you spend time with yourself and be with your thoughts and deal with those. And if you're the type of person who has a tendency to watch over others, sometimes we put them as a priority. It's time to put yourself as that priority and invest a little bit more of that time into yourself. And yeah, you deserve it. You know, absolutely deserve it, because it's important and you're worth it. And it really is an imperative point on improving your self-esteem and creating that balance in your life. So I've got some really fun ideas, and I've split them up, and I'm actually going to put them into the group afterwards as well, because one of the tasks is to actually choose 2 or 3 of these self-esteem, pamper yourself things this weekend. We've got some beauty ones. I've put enjoy a massage, get a manicure pedicure, indulge in a facial, have a night at a fancy hotel, take some bubble bath, order room service and watch a movie, get your hair done, splurge on an expensive skincare product, buy a new lipstick or nail polish, sleep in. Get your makeup done by a professional. Enjoy a therapy treatment like Reiki, reflexology, Indian head treatment. How great are those? Those are beauty ones. I have some foodie self-pampering tips. Go to a local oyster bar and order half a dozen oysters and just enjoy. Go to your favorite restaurant and enjoy a meal all by yourself. Yeah, spend some time with you. Make your favorite meal, whether it's pasta, roast chicken, steak, whatever, macaroni cheese, I don't care. Just make it and enjoy it. Go to a fancy coffee shop, yeah, and order a delicious coffee and just sip and enjoy the taste. It's absolutely wonderful. Go to your favorite deli and buy some specialty ingredients. Treat yourself to some awesome supplements. Buy a juicer and make some fresh juices. Invest in new cookbooks and get some inspiration. I've got some shopping ideas. I got loads of ideas for self-pampering. I tell you what, this is going to be a great task for everybody. Shopping. Buy the prettiest flowers, go home, and make yourself a bouquet to admire all week. Buy a new pair of boots that you've always wanted. Buy yourself some new lingerie. Order a dress that you've been eyeing. Get it gift wrapped. Get it sent to yourself. And you need to get them to personalize a note to yourself telling you you are absolutely freaking fabulous. How's that? And that would be really fun. Leisure ideas. Take the afternoon off, grab a book, and go to a park, go to a beach, and start reading it. Throw a me party at home with your favorite mocktail, turn up your favorite song, dance around the house, just have some fun. Take a long and leisurely bubble bath. I did that last night. It was amazing. Take a nap and just pamper yourself. Have a nap. Walk someplace that will have a great view over a sunset. Bring a blanket and watch the day turn to night. Doesn't that sound like a pamper evening? I love that. Hire someone to clean your house. Woo-hoo, that sounds great. Here's a cultural one. Here's some cultural things. Visit a museum exhibit that you wanted to check out. Get a single ticket to, and I'm talking a single ticket. You can take someone with you if you want, but this is all about pampering you. You could go to the opera, you can go to the ballet, a symphony, get dressed up and go out to the show. I love that. Buy a piece of artwork you've been lusting over for months. Sign up for a calligraphy class if you want, or other classes. So, I mean, there's so many great things. That is going to be one of our tasks. So I'm going to be putting that in the Facebook group for everybody to do. Next is using positive affirmations correctly and starting your day with a positive affirmation. I'm going to be asking for some ideas for this in the group this week as well. So there's two ways to kind of do this, because if you're feeling positive, this is, again, really interesting research that I found around this. And this research was from 2004. They did this study that using really positive affirmations when your self-esteem is really low can actually keep you low. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Because your brain just can't believe it. So you need to really watch what words you're using here. So for example, it says positive affirmations such as, I'm going to be a great success, which is one of the most popular ones, had this critical problem that saying something like that when your self-esteem is low is you just couldn't believe you were going to be a great success. So you needed to change the wording to more things like, I'm going to persevere until I succeed. I'm going to persevere until I succeed. How's that? It's really quite different. And actually, the brain, if you're feeling low, can understand that more. And actually, that was the research that they did to get your self-esteem higher quicker. Okay, so it's around that perseverance. So just bear that in mind. So there's a positive affirmation, but you need to be doing them correctly. Okie dokie. The next one is identifying your competencies and developing them. This is a real interesting one because, again, we're all good at different things, and it is about working to your strengths, whether you're in a business world or just, everyday life as well. And self-esteem can simply be built by demonstrating a real ability and achievement in the areas of our lives that matter to us. Okay, so if making a nice meal matters to you, it's automatically going to raise your self-esteem. How great is that? So if you pride yourself on being that good cook, then you know what? Hold some dinner parties. What a great way to boost your self-esteem. Okay, so can you see the correlation between those? If you're a good runner, sign up to a race, sign up to a marathon, train other people. It will build your self-esteem. So really, this section is really quite easy because all you have to do is figure out your core competencies and find opportunities and careers and, people that accentuate them. It's like I said in the beginning, this isn't complicated, but can you understand it's actually not easy because now you have to sit down, you have to think, okay, what am I good at? And write a list and find those things. But if you want to build your self-esteem, we need to always do that part of us in our personal development. Remember the wheel of wellness, right? We have that personal development area, and if we're not working on ourselves in that area, then that wheel isn't rolling smoothly. We need to be doing something in that area all the time. The next one is a big one. This one's learn to accept compliments. This is always an area I think that is difficult sometimes for people, and it is around accepting a compliments, but it can be really, really tricky, and it's a really tricky part of our self-esteem. When you feel bad about yourself, you're more resistant almost to accepting a compliment. And I'm sure you can think of instances yourself. If someone says, "Oh, I really like your hair," it's like, "Oh yeah," it's a little bit like we switch it to a negative. "Oh, do you know what? Well, I need to color it. It's not looking that great, but thanks anyway." We don't even say, "But thanks anyway." Yeah. So it really is around accepting that compliment. So I kind of want to get you guys to set yourself a little bit of a goal, and I want you to tolerate, if you have a problem in this area, I want you to tolerate the compliments when you receive them. Okay, and sometimes they're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but I just want you to accept them. I want you to smile. I want you to be grateful. I want you to say thank you very much, because you don't want to reflect that compliment back to the person, saying or switching it to a negative. And so it's really, really important, this area, really important, because you know what, I think we miss a lot of compliments. We really do. We let them go by. When people are offering them, we should be grateful for them and keep them, just with a thank you, kind of you to say that, and in time, that impulse to deny or that impulse to, buff it off will fade. And that is a really nice indication that your self-esteem is getting stronger. Okay, so I want you to use that as part of it. The next one is don't compare yourself to others. This is something that I am sometimes guilty of as well, and it's a killer. It's a killer. Yeah. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, we waste precious time focusing on other people's lives instead of ours. And comparison can often result in resentment as well. And resentment towards others and towards ourselves deprives us of joy. and we are on planet Earth to enjoy and be joyful. So don't compare yourself to anybody. And it's difficult, you know. I'm seeing lots of people away on holiday at the moment, and I haven't had a day off in, I worked it out. I think it's 3 months. Yeah, yeah, crazy. Not since my last holiday, June, July, August. Yeah, 2 months. 2 months. I've worked straight through about 9 weeks trying to get everything done. And so I got a holiday coming up and I'm really excited about it. But at the moment, I'm really looking at other people's holidays thinking, oh, I wish I was there. I wish I was there. And it's like, okay, that is a little bit of a comparison and it's a mild one, but it still can be unhealthy. I will be there soon. I will be there soon. So don't compare. It kills your joy, kills your joy. The final one, I love this, is affirming your real worth, okay? And following all of the exercises, the 10 before, because this one's number 11, following the 10 will just revive your self-esteem. And even if it's sustained a blow, and sometimes it does, everyone gets a little blow of their self-esteem somehow, right? Then you need to affirm your real worth. Go back through the 10, and this is number 11. Go back through those and work it out. Work it out quickly. And, you know, get your date in the diary, list everything that you need to do to make you feel good and get it done. Choose those items on the list of the pampering and, you know, write it down and add it to your list, because doing those exercises, you know, not physical exercises, but doing the exercises of these 11 things every day for even a week, will give your self-esteem the boost that it actually needs. You just need to start, because the bottom line here is improving self-esteem requires work. Yeah, improving self-esteem requires work, and it involves developing and maintaining healthier emotional habits. But by doing so, and especially doing so correctly as well, you're just going to provide this great emotional and psychological return on your investment for the time that it actually takes. But you have to invest in it first for you to get that return. So that's all today. I know a couple of you need to leave earlier, so I want to thank everyone so much for joining me this evening, and I will be putting this into the group, and I'm also going to be putting things as tasks this week as well for us to do. So wishing you a fantastic rest of the evening, and thank you as always for joining me, and I will see you all next week.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.